By the time we discovered the entrance, I thought we were on the verge of one of the greatest scientific breakthroughs in history. I was wrong. Very wrong. I am Dr. Nathan Cole, a geologist with a reputation for pursuing the impossible. And when my team and I stumbled upon that hidden chasm in the heart of the Amazon rainforest, I thought we were uncovering the undiscovered, as we so often did on expeditions like this one. I had no idea we were about to uncover something far darker than we could ever have imagined. It started innocently enough. My team and I, Dr. Julia Mason, a brilliant biologist, and Dr. Sam Carter, a physicist with a penchant for extreme theories, had been working in the caves for weeks. The humid, oppressive air of the rainforest had given way to the cool, musty tunnels deep beneath the Earth's surface. Our mission was simple: to explore and document the uncharted cave systems that were rumored to be older than any human civilization, even older than the dinosaurs. The very existence of such a place was speculation, a whisper in the scientific community. But we'd always believed that some part of the Earth held mysteries untold. Then Sam found it. I remember the moment clearly. We had just crossed a narrow, jagged pathway leading deeper into the caves when Sam's voice rang out from behind us, urgent and excited. "Nathan, Julia, over here!" His voice echoed through the damp tunnels. Julia and I exchanged a look, both of us half expecting Sam to have found another strange mineral deposit or some ancient fossil. Instead, we found him kneeling in front of a narrow crack in the stone, almost invisible behind layers of moss and vines. "What is it?" I asked, though I already had a sinking feeling in my gut. "A fissure," Sam said, his eyes gleaming with the thrill of discovery. "It's not just any crack. This leads somewhere. I can feel it." I hadn't believed in the supernatural, not truly, but when Sam spoke, there was something different in his voice, a certainty I hadn't heard before. We set up camp near the crack and began our investigation the following morning. It took us hours of digging, chiseling away at the thick stone. But finally, with one last push of our tools, the fissure gave way. It was like uncovering a doorway into the unknown, a passage that seemed far too perfect to be natural. The walls were smooth, almost polished, with faint markings etched into the rock, symbols I couldn't make out. The air beyond the crack felt colder, denser. It was as if the earth itself had been holding its breath, waiting for us to uncover what lay beneath. At first, the excitement outweighed the fear. We weren't just explorers anymore. We were pioneers standing at the edge of the greatest discovery of our lives. And yet, something in me, a quiet voice deep within, warned me that we weren't just meant to find this place. We were meant to enter it, and that was a choice we would soon regret. We descended slowly, carefully, using ropes and climbing gear. The deeper we went, the darker the world became. The light of our headlamps barely reached more than a few feet, in front of us casting long, jittering shadows that made the walls seem to breathe. The passage opened up into a massive cavern, vast and echoing, the ground beneath our feet smooth and polished, like it had been shaped by hands far more skilled than ours. Julia let out a breath. This doesn't feel like any cave we've explored. It feels too artificial." I nodded. There was something profoundly unsettling about it, something that made the hair on the back of my neck stand on end. The temperature dropped sharply as we walked further into the cavern. I couldn't help but notice how the walls shimmered, as though the stone itself was alive. Bioluminescent fungi clung to the rock, casting an eerie glow that danced like ghosts in the darkness. For a few moments, the air felt almost peaceful, but that was before we found the first sign that we weren't alone. It was Sam who noticed it first. A set of footprints, strange and deep, stretching across the smooth stone floor. They were too large to belong to any human or animal I had ever seen. "What could have made these?" Sam murmured, kneeling down to study them. I leaned in, squinting at the prints. They were irregular, almost distorted. But what struck me the most was their freshness. There was no mistaking it. Someone, or something, had passed this way recently. Before any of us could speak, there was a sound. A soft click, then another, It came from somewhere deeper in the cavern, the noise almost too faint to hear but unmistakable. My heart skipped a beat. Something was out there. Something was watching us. We froze, listening. There was a low hum in the air now, like the cave itself was breathing, drawing in our fear. I glanced around at Julia and Sam, both of them looking as tense as I felt. But Sam, always the bravest among us, broke the silence. "Who's there?" he called into the darkness, his voice carrying in the open space. For a moment, nothing answered. But then, from the farthest reaches of the cavern, came the faintest rustling, followed by a strange, soft thud. Then another, louder. Something was moving toward us. We didn't wait to find out what. We ran. It was chaos. We sprinted down the winding paths, the cavern itself now feeling like an enemy, a vast living labyrinth. The walls seemed to shift, closing in behind us as if the entire cavern was rearranging itself. Sam shouted for us to keep going, his voice strained. "Don't stop. Keep moving." I could hear something behind us, scraping, clicking sounds that seemed to echo from every direction. It wasn't just one creature. There were more, and they were closing in. We found a small alcove deep in the cavern and took refuge there, panting and desperate. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and the darkness pressed in on all sides. We huddled together, barely daring to speak, our minds racing with fear. But then the world around us shifted again. The ground beneath our feet quivered, and the air grew thick with a deep, unnatural hum. From the shadows emerged figures, massive, insect-like creatures, their bodies gleaming with a terrifying sheen. They were like something from a nightmare. Giant, hulking things with chitinous exoskeletons and multifaceted eyes that glowed with a sickly yellow light. There were more of them now, and they weren't alone. From the deep shadows, monstrous figures began to appear, twisted versions of mythological creatures, their forms shifting in the dim light. A giant serpent with too many heads, a lumbering beast with the wings of a bat and the jaws of a wolf. They were all around us, watching, waiting. Then came the voice. "You should not have come here," it said. Not in any language I recognized, but somehow I understood it. The voice was deep, ancient, and filled with a terrifying authority. The ground trembled as if it were responding to the voice's command. "You will never leave." It wasn't just the creatures that spoke, though. It was the cavern itself. The walls, the shadows, even the very air was alive with it. It was as though the cave knew us, had always known us. It was feeding off our fear, growing stronger with every passing second. I turned to Sam and Julia, but they were both staring ahead in horror, their faces pale. I followed their gaze and froze. A shape was emerging from the deepest part of the cave, a towering figure taller than any of the other creatures. It was humanoid, but twisted beyond comprehension, with elongated limbs and a face that seemed to be made from the darkest, most unspeakable parts of human nightmares. Its eyes were pools of black, empty voids, and its body shifted and changed, like liquid shadow. It spoke again, its voice like a low growl. "You are mine." Without warning, the ground cracked beneath our feet, and the world around us shifted once more. The air grew colder, the shadows deeper, and something inside me told me that we had crossed a threshold. The hollow earth wasn't just a place, it was a sentient, living thing, an ancient intelligence that had been waiting for us to enter. We didn't stop running. We couldn't. But the world around us no longer made sense. The walls of the cavern, bent, stretched, and twisted as though we were walking through a nightmare that would never end. And that's when I realized the truth. The hollow earth wasn't just a place. It was a prison built by the darkest parts of the human psyche, a realm of nightmares given flesh. And we weren't meant to escape. We were meant to be trapped here, feeding its power, forever. I don't know how much time passed after that. Hours? Days? We lost track of time in that labyrinth of terror. The creatures never stopped hunting us, their eyes always watching, their movements always just beyond our reach. I can only hope that by writing this down, someone, anyone, will understand. The hollow earth is real. And it's not finished with us. It's still watching, still waiting. And one day it will come for you too. It will come for all of us.